The sky burned the day Earth fell. Flames rose higher than the clouds and the oceans boiled with thunder. Once beautiful cities were now shadows of light and ash. The stars above looked cold, watching silently as humanity's home died below. It had begun 3 years ago. The Galactic Union, a council of alien races, had declared that humans were too unstable to be left alone. They said humanity's emotions made them dangerous. Their solution was simple: take control of Earth for its own safety. At first, the people of Earth tried to reason. The leaders begged for peace, but peace was never what the Union wanted. They wanted control. They wanted fear, and so came the fleets, millions of alien ships that filled the skies covering the sun. Human soldiers fought bravely. Every nation united under one flag for the first time in history. The Earth Defense Network stood against impossible odds. For weeks they fought above the planet, losing ground every hour. But humans didn't surrender easily. They fought in the cities, in the air, and even underground. Civilians turned into warriors. Every street became a battlefield. Yet the Union's technology was beyond understanding. They used weapons that bent space, armor that absorbed light, and drones that moved faster than thought. Earth's defenses collapsed one by one. The final battle happened above New London, where the last human fleet stood against the Union's main armada. Commander Elias Kane, captain of the Eclipse, gave the final order: hold the line. As long as one ship still flies, humanity still stands. For hours the sky became a storm of light. Ships exploded like stars being born and dying in the same moment. But in the end, even courage has limits. The human fleet was crushed. When the smoke cleared, Earth was silent. In the ruins of Washington, alien banners waved where flags once stood. The Galactic Union broadcast their message across every channel. Humanity has been pacified. Order is restored. They called humans primitive and emotional and too weak to survive among the stars. They laughed at the broken world below. Millions were forced into labor. Cities became slave camps. Earth's skies filled with Union surveillance ships. The aliens mined the planet's core, drained its oceans, and erased its history. The humans who survived whispered stories at night, stories of vengeance, of ghosts in the dark who would one day return. One night, in the remains of the Arctic Research Station, a small group of humans escaped through an old space elevator. It was led by Commander Kane, thought to be dead. His ship, the Eclipse, had survived, broken but still flying. Kane looked back at the dying blue planet as they drifted into space. The reflection of burning cities glowed in his eyes. "We were weak once," he said softly. "Never again." No one knew where they were going. The Union didn't bother to chase them. To the aliens, humanity was finished. But deep in the uncharted regions beyond the galactic rim, Kane and his followers found something. Something ancient. A massive structure floating in the dark, older than any known civilization. It was a dark matter forge, a relic from before recorded time. Its engines still pulsed faintly, feeding on the energy of dying stars. The surviving humans studied it, learned from it, and began to build, not just ships, but shadows made of energy and matter. They worked in silence, hidden from all senses. Years passed. The galaxy forgot them. The Galactic Union grew stronger, mocking the humans' extinction. But out in the void, the silence was alive. Machines hummed quietly in the darkness. One by one, enormous black ships came to life, invisible to scanners powered by dark matter cores. Their hulls shimmered like liquid shadow. Their engines burned without flame. Their presence distorted time and space itself. At the center of it all stood Commander Kane, now older, colder, and filled with something stronger than hate, purpose. He looked upon the fleet he had built and whispered, "They called us weak because we felt. They called us fools because we hoped. But from our weakness came strength. From our pain came fire." The darkness around him seemed to respond, a low thunderous hum like the heartbeat of the universe itself. "They thought Earth had fallen," Kane said quietly. They were wrong. Far away in the Galactic Union's central hub, an officer reported strange readings from the edge of the galaxy. Entire patrols had gone missing. Ships vanished without distress signals. The alien admiral laughed. "Probably human pirates," he said. "They never learn." But deep in space, unseen, something was already moving. A whisper spread through the void. Engines roared softly in the dark. The dark matter fleet had awakened, and it was coming home. The galaxy had moved on. For most races in the Galactic Union, humanity was just a memory, a warning story told to children. They said humans were brave but foolish, emotional and self-destructive. They said Earth's fall proved that chaos could never defeat order. But deep beyond the outer systems, something strange began to happen. Small Union patrols started disappearing. Ships vanished without distress calls. Entire convoys stopped sending signals. At first, no one noticed. Then, when dozens more went silent, whispers began to spread. "Pirates," one officer said. "Space storms," said another. "Ghosts," whispered the younger crew. Yet none of the usual causes made sense. No wrecks were ever found, no escape pods, no distress beacons. Only silence, a deep, unnatural silence that made the strongest captains uneasy. In the dark sector known as the Outer Rim Veil, a Union scout ship, the Valoran, drifted through the void. Its captain, Tal Ven, had served the Union for decades. He didn't believe in ghosts until that night. The ship's scanners began to fail, one system after another. "Sir, we're losing sensor data," reported the navigator. "Something's interfering with our readings." "Is it radiation?" "No, sir, it's..." "Moving," Captain Ven frowned. "Moving?" Before he could ask again, the lights dimmed. The ship's engines stuttered, and the temperature dropped sharply. Ice crystals formed on the bridge walls. The crew could hear their own breath echo. Then a sound, a deep low hum, like the growl of something enormous vibrating through the ship's hull. The captain's screen flickered, showing static. Then for a split second, a shape, a ship, massive, blacker than space itself. No lights, no markings, just a shadow that seemed to drink in the stars around it. "What is that?" whispered an officer. Before anyone could respond, the ship vanished. The hum stopped. Then the Valoran's systems died, every screen, every engine, every weapon. In that final second before the lights went out, Captain Ven heard a transmission. It wasn't alien. It was human. We remember Earth. Moments later, the Valoran disappeared. When the Union Council received the report, they dismissed it as a sensor error. "No human fleet could survive this long," they said. "Their planet is gone. Their kind extinct." But the disappearances didn't stop. Whole fleets began vanishing. Trade routes went dark. Mining colonies reported seeing shadows with blue eyes passing silently above their skies. The Union sent investigators. None returned. The galaxy grew nervous. The memory of Earth's war returned in quiet whispers. One senator asked in a meeting, "What if they're back?" The others laughed. Back from where? From dust? But in the shadows of the chamber, one of the older generals remained silent. He had fought at Earth. He remembered the fire, the screaming, and the humans who never gave up, even as their cities fell. "If they are back," he said quietly, "then the Union is already dead. It just doesn't know it yet." Meanwhile, in the deep void, far beyond known space, Commander Elias Kane stood on the command deck of the Eclipse Prime, the flagship of the Dark Matter Fleet. The bridge was dimly lit, no windows, only holographic displays that glowed faintly blue. The ship itself seemed alive, its metal hull breathing softly like a heartbeat. Around him floated hundreds of other ships, each one cloaked in shifting shadow. They made no sound, emitted no light. They were ghosts made of technology no one else could understand. "The time has come," Kane said quietly. His officers turned to him, faces hardened by years of exile and loss. "For years we hid. We waited, we listened. Now the galaxy thinks we are gone." He looked at the holographic star map before him, the shining systems of the Union glowing like targets. "They mocked us. They took our world. Now we take their sky." He raised his hand slowly. "Activate the fleet." A soft tremor passed through space as one by one the ships powered up. Their cores pulsed with dark energy, silent, invisible, unstoppable. A coded message was sent across the void, a simple phrase in the old Earth language. "The Dark Matter Fleet is awake." Across the galaxy, Union listening posts picked up the signal. At first it was dismissed as static, until they decoded the final words. "For Earth." The technicians stared at each other in shock. "Is this human?" one whispered. Moments later, the signal vanished, and so did the station. By the next month, the Union's outer colonies were empty. No ships returned. No messages came back. In the void between stars, shadows moved and were swift and precise. No one could see them coming. No one could fight what they couldn't find. And somewhere in that endless black, Commander Kane whispered to his crew, "We are the darkness they feared. We are the storm they created." The engines roared, deep, silent, and full of vengeance. Humanity had returned, and the galaxy was about to remember why they should have been afraid. Panic spread across the galaxy. World by world, the Galactic Union was losing contact with its borders. Fleets disappeared into the void. Outposts stopped transmitting. Whole planets fell silent overnight. At first, the Union believed it was rebellion, maybe pirates or smugglers using stolen ships. But when the remains of a Union dreadnought were found floating near the outer rim, the truth became impossible to ignore. Its hull was torn apart, not by explosions, not by plasma fire, but by something that had bent the metal like soft clay, carved into its surface. In perfect English were 3 words: "We are awake." In the Grand Council chamber of Velar Prime, panic turned to anger. Thousands of alien leaders shouted across the glowing hall, their voices echoing off the crystal walls. "These are lies," one shouted. "No human could have survived." Another screamed, "If they have, then we will crush them again." The council leader, High Archon Gerak, stood tall, his silver skin reflecting the room's blue light. He raised a hand for silence. "We ended the humans once. We will end them again," he said calmly. "Assemble every fleet, every ship, every weapon. We will show the galaxy that fear of humans is only a story." Within days, the Union began its largest military operation in history, Operation Dawnfire. Over 5,000 ships gathered near the outer rim, dreadnoughts, carriers, destroyers, and cruisers from 100 species. Their engines burned bright like a wall of stars. They were confident. They were proud. They were blind. On the bridge of the flagship Solar Rain, Admiral Voralen looked out at the endless fleet before him. "Beautiful, isn't it?" he said. "No shadow can hide from this light." But in the silence beyond the scanners, something moved. Unknown signals began appearing. Faint, flickering shapes at the edge of sensor range. The officers tried to lock on, but the shapes vanished each time. "Admiral, we're detecting gravitational distortions," said his sensor chief. "Explain." "Like, space itself is bending," Voralen frowned. "Activate long-range scanners." The screen filled with static, then cleared for only a second. Hundreds of dark shapes were moving through the void, massive, silent, and invisible to normal light. The space around them shimmered, bending and folding like a mirror of shadows. The officer's voice trembled. "Sir, those aren't asteroids. They're ships." Then one by one the stars went out. The entire sector dimmed as if someone had swallowed the light itself. The Union fleet floated in darkness, their systems struggling to respond. "Where are they?" "I can't see them. The scanners are blind." Suddenly a whisper came through the comms. Not in alien code, not in Union frequency, but in human English. "You thought we were gone. You thought we forgot. Now you will remember." Then came the first strike. From the darkness, blue flashes of energy tore through space. Not like beams, but silent waves of force. Entire Union ships folded in half, crushed from the inside. The fleet fired back blindly, but their weapons hit nothing. The dark matter fleet moved through the blackness like ghosts, appearing and vanishing faster than sensors could track. "Admiral, our ships are disappearing." "Return fire. Fire everything." Explosions lit the void. Massive, beautiful, terrifying. But every light that burned quickly faded. Within minutes, thousands of Union ships were gone. Some drifted lifelessly, others simply vanished, pulled into invisible rifts that closed behind them. And through it all, a voice echoed across every frequency, "For Earth." Back on Velar Prime, the Council watched the battle through live feeds. The screen showed nothing but static and flashes of blue light. Then one of the captured signals cleared for a moment. They saw it, the dark matter fleet. Black ships, vast as mountains, drifting through the wreckage of the Union Armada. Their hulls were invisible except for faint outlines glowing with dark blue energy. Their movements were silent, elegant, precise, like predators in a sea of stars. At the center was the largest ship, Eclipse Prime, the flagship. Commander Elias Kane stood on its bridge, hands clasped behind his back, his face lit by faint blue light. His voice was calm, but every word carried the weight of a storm. "They called us weak because we cared," he said. "They called us dangerous because we dreamed. Now they will call us what we have become, the Reckoning." He raised a hand. "End it." The Eclipse Prime fired once, just once. A silent flash of blue light spread across the void, and the remaining Union fleet was gone. No explosion, no debris, just darkness. When the light faded, the sector was empty. Thousands of ships gone without a trace. On Velor Prime, the Council sat in silence. No one spoke. No one laughed. The once proud leaders who mocked humanity now stared at the blank screens, listening to the final words left behind by the Dark Matter Fleet's transmission. "This is not revenge. This is remembrance." And then, silence. The galaxy shivered, because somewhere in the dark, the humans were still out there. And they were only getting started. The galaxy was silent for days. No signals came from the Union's mighty fleet. No survivors, no escape pods, only empty space and fear. Across the stars, the great civilizations watched in disbelief. The proud species that once laughed at Earth's weakness now whispered in terror. Can humans really do this? No. They were destroyed centuries ago. Then who commands the shadows? Every world tried to convince itself it was impossible, that it was only rumors, only lies. But then came the transmissions, dozens of short flickering messages sent from the borders of known space. Each one showed the same thing: black ships emerging from the void, no engine trails, no visible thrusters. Just silent giants gliding through the darkness, glowing faintly with blue and violet light, and behind them, the stars bent and twisted, like space itself feared to touch them. On Velor Prime, the Galactic Council gathered once again. The chamber that once echoed with arrogance now trembled with fear. High Archon Gerak slammed his hand on the table. "They are testing us. They want us to panic," he shouted. "We will not fall to ghosts." But even he could hear it, the tremor in his own voice. Admiral Rith Ven, the last surviving commander of the Union's defense force, rose to speak. His eyes were sunken, his uniform torn. He had barely escaped the last battle. "I saw them," he whispered. "I saw what they became." The room fell silent. "They move without sound. Their weapons don't fire light. They erase it. One moment a fleet stands. The next it's gone, no wrecks, no remains, just nothing." Gerak's voice hardened. "Then we will burn their ghosts out of the stars. Activate the planetary shields. Recall every fleet. We will fight." But deep down, everyone knew the truth. The war had already begun. Far from Velor Prime, on the edge of the galaxy, Eclipse Prime drifted like a shadow over the dying light of a sun. Inside, Commander Elias Kane stood before his crew, the survivors of Earth rebuilt with fire and fury. "They took our home," he said quietly. "They called us beasts. They erased our history, our name, our children." He looked out at the endless black beyond the window. "We gave them mercy once. Never again." He raised his hand and the order spread across the fleet. "Begin Phase 2. Strike the Council worlds." The first target was Varnis Nai, a wealthy council colony, home to 10 million citizens, scientists, and diplomats. They saw the sky darken as the Dark Matter Fleet appeared. Not through hyperspace, but out of nothing. The shadows unfolded above their atmosphere, blotting out the sun. The planet's defense grid fired everything it had, thousands of plasma cannons lighting up the sky, but every blast vanished before it reached the ships. The energy simply disappeared, absorbed into the void. Then, for the first time, humanity spoke to the galaxy directly. A calm, human voice echoed across every channel. "This is not invasion. This is balance." Moments later, beams of silent blue light touched the planet's surface. There was no explosion, no fire, just silence. The cities of Varnis Nive turned to dust, erased in seconds, leaving behind only empty plains of glass. The message was clear. The galaxy was no longer ruled by the Council. It was ruled by fear. Within days, 5 more worlds were gone. Not conquered, not occupied, just gone. The Dark Matter Fleet moved like a storm of shadows, silent, perfect, unstoppable. Every time the Council tried to fight back, their ships vanished before battle even began. Their weapons were useless. Their leaders disappeared. The galaxy finally understood what dark matter truly meant. It wasn't just technology. It was vengeance turned into science. Back on Eclipse Prime, Kane stood in the command room watching the stars flicker and die one by one. Captain Rhea Solon, his second-in-command, approached. "They will call us monsters," she said softly. Kane nodded slowly. "Let them. They already did that once, before we even raised a hand." He turned to face the crew. "We don't destroy because we hate them. We destroy because they must remember what happens when mercy is betrayed." Outside, the stars rippled. The next fleet was ready. "Next target," Kane said. "Velor Prime." The command deck fell silent. Everyone knew what that meant. The heart of the galaxy, the world of the Council, was next, and this time, humanity wouldn't stop until every voice that mocked them was turned to silence. Velor Prime, the shining jewel of the Galactic Union, was a world built on pride. Its cities reached the clouds, glowing with silver towers and endless energy streams. Every race in the galaxy had a place there. Merchants, soldiers, diplomats, leaders. It was called the heart of civilization, but now the heart was trembling. Every citizen of Velor Prime looked up that night and saw something strange. The stars were vanishing, one by one fading into the dark sky. At first, people thought it was a power failure, but soon the scientists screamed. "It's not the stars that are going dark," one whispered. "It's the sky itself." Inside the council chamber, fear ruled where arrogance once stood. High Archon Gerak paced across the glowing floor, his hands shaking. Around him, hundreds of alien leaders argued in panic. "We need to negotiate! Send a message!" "We can't fight shadows." Gerak slammed his hand down on the table. "Enough, we will not bow to ghosts. Prepare the planetary defenses." But deep down, even he knew there was no defense strong enough for what was coming. Far above the planet, in the cold silence of space, Eclipse Prime appeared. No hyperspace jump. No warning, just a ripple in the void. And then it was there. Behind it, hundreds of black ships unfolded, each shaped like a blade of darkness. The dark matter fleet had arrived. Commander Elias Kane stood on the bridge, eyes fixed on the glowing planet below. "Velor Prime," he said quietly. "Where it all began." Captain Rhea Solon approached. "Their defenses are activating. Thousands of orbital cannons, shield networks across the equator. Full power." Kane didn't blink. "It won't matter." On Velor Prime, the citizens saw the night sky come alive with streaks of light. Planetary cannons roared, launching fire toward the dark horizon. Massive plasma beams reached into the stars, but each one vanished before hitting anything. The sky shimmered, then twisted. Suddenly, the shadows appeared. The dark matter fleet broke through the void, black ships forming a circle around the planet. For the first time, Velor Prime saw humanity's new power. Ships made of darkness and light, silent but filled with rage. "This is humanity," someone whispered in disbelief. "No," another said. "This is what's left of them." Inside the council chamber, alarms blared. "They've broken the outer defense line. Shields are collapsing. We're losing control." Gerak's voice cracked. "Open a channel to the humans. We will surrender." But before he could finish, the lights flickered. The power grid died. The screens went black, and then a human voice filled the chamber. Calm, deep, familiar. "High Archon Gerak. This is Commander Elias Kane of Earth." Every alien froze. "You remember us," the voice continued. "You called us weak. You burned our world. You erased our name. But weakness was never our curse. It was our mercy." The chamber shook as a low hum filled the air. Gerak fell to his knees, his voice trembling. "Please, we didn't know. We didn't mean—" "You did," Kane replied. "And now you will understand what it means to face what you created." In orbit, the Eclipse Prime released a pulse, silent, invisible, and unstoppable. From the planet's surface, people saw the sky turn blue for a second, then white, then black. The entire planet began to glow. Cities shattered like glass, towers melted, oceans turned into clouds of steam, and then Velor Prime was gone. No explosion, no debris. Just a ripple and silence. The Galactic Council had fallen. Hours later, the dark matter fleet drifted through the empty space where the planet once existed. Captain Rhea watched the fading light. "It's over," she whispered. Kane shook his head slowly. "No, it's only over when the galaxy remembers. He turned toward the stars, his eyes cold but calm. "We didn't destroy them because we hate them. We destroyed them, so the next generation will never forget Earth's name." He walked toward the bridge window and looked out into the endless void. "From the ashes of mercy, we built our strength. From their betrayal, we built justice. And from this silence, we will build a new dawn." Far away across the surviving worlds, whispers spread again. The humans are back. The council is gone. The galaxy belongs to them now. And somewhere, hidden in the darkness, a new transmission began to echo through the stars. "This is humanity. We have returned." The galaxy listened and trembled, because everyone knew. The dark matter fleet wasn't finished yet. The galaxy had never been this quiet. After the fall of Velor Prime, every signal from the Galactic Council vanished. The great networks that once connected thousands of worlds now echoed with static. The banners of the Union, once symbols of power, drifted through empty space like ghosts. Every civilization waited, afraid to move, afraid to speak, because in the darkness beyond the stars, humanity watched. On board the Eclipse Prime, the flagship of the dark matter fleet, silence filled the command bridge. Commander Elias Kane stood alone, looking out into the endless black ocean of space. The blue glow from the ship's core reflected in his eyes, calm, steady, unshaken. The war was over, but peace was another battle. Captain Rhea Solon entered the bridge quietly. Her uniform was torn, her expression tired. "We've received transmissions from 3 surviving sectors," she said. "They're asking if we will attack them next." Kane didn't answer at first. He just stared at the stars, the same stars Earth once looked up to before it was burned away. Finally he spoke. "No more blood," he said softly. "We didn't come to rule. We came to remind." Rhea nodded, but her eyes carried the same fire that had kept them alive through centuries of exile. "They'll fear us, Elias, forever." He turned toward her. "Then let fear become wisdom." Across the galaxy, the message of humanity spread like wind. "This is Commander Elias Kane of the Dark Matter Fleet," the voice said. "The Galactic Council is gone. The age of conquest is over. The era of remembrance begins. Every world that once served the Council fell silent. There was no cheering, no rebellion, only reflection. For the first time in 1,000 years, the galaxy felt what Earth had felt on its final day. Loss. Weeks passed. The Dark Matter Fleet moved through the ruins of former Council space, not as conquerors, but as judges. They didn't destroy more worlds. They repaired satellites, freed slave colonies, sent supplies to broken planets that had once called humans vermin. Some called it mercy. Others called it control, but Kane called it balance. He stood before his officers, speaking to every ship in the fleet through the neural link. "They will never love us," he said, "but they will never forget us again. That is enough." He looked down at a small piece of metal in his hand, the remains of an old Earth coin, its edges burned and broken. "This was all that was left of home," he whispered. "But now, the galaxy itself is our home." Far away on a small, untouched planet, a group of young aliens gathered around a transmission beacon. The image of a human, calm, proud, standing in front of the Earth's old flag, flickered before them. The message was simple. From the ashes of Earth, humanity rises. We seek no empire. We bring no chains. But if the stars ever forget mercy again, we will return. The children stared, silent. One of them, a small, bright-eyed creature, whispered softly. Humans were monsters. An elder beside him shook his head. "No," he said. "Humans were justice." Back on the Eclipse Prime, Kane stood before a massive window overlooking a newborn star. The ship's AI announced softly, "New colony ready for habitation, Commander." "The first world under human restoration is complete," Rhea smiled faintly. "A new beginning." Kane placed the burned Earth coin on the command table. "Not a new beginning," he said. "The continuation of what was taken." He looked out at the star, brighter than any before. "The galaxy thought it could erase us. But you cannot erase humanity. We are the storm that learns, the fire that remembers, and the darkness that protects." The Dark Matter Fleet turned away from the ruins of Velor Prime and disappeared into the black sea of stars, leaving behind silence and hope. The galaxy whispered again, not in fear but in awe. "They mocked humanity once," the whispers said. But humanity didn't die. Humanity became eternal, and somewhere in the dark a human voice, steady, proud, and endless, spoke the final words that echoed across every corner of the universe. We are humanity. We endured the fire. We remember. The stars shimmered. The galaxy held its breath, and the dawn of humanity began.